Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Sam here, United People's TV, live and direct, like we are Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. I hoped that today we could be speaking about the takeover being complete. Well, maybe not completed, but at least the preferred bidder being announced. Remember last week we came here, Matt Lawton, Mike Keegan, preferred bidder is going to be named this week. You can see by the title down there, you can see by the title of the show, it's the excitement of the takeover is being replaced by a very different emotion 7 months down the line. And it now is 100% affecting and impacting the transfer plans of Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. I'm going to run through and discuss it with you as a community this morning. As always, the Monday show is a bit crazy because I don't do live shows typically on Saturday or Sunday. So I'm there looking through 72 hours of news, trying to pick out all the most important talking points. And there are plenty to discuss, as always. And I will bring you the latest on the takeover, what's being said. And you can see the change in, not narrative, but just in the change in the language being used by the journalists involved in covering this takeover. Slow torture was as far as I think Sean Ingle from The Guardian went. And I'll run through all of that. We'll speak about the transfers themselves. We'll speak about a couple of names on the board. Kim Min-jae going to Bayern Munich, the Declan Rice situation, Harry Kane, so many more things. And you can let me know what you're thinking in the comments below, as you always do as a community. Let me see who's down here. Kieran Moran on Facebook. How you doing, buddy? We've got Paula. We've got Ant. We've got Stuart Mason. How you doing, buddy? Paul Greaves. Emmanuel Hansen. My Damned United. Is that the one with what's his face? Can't remember. I can never remember his Scottish dude. Can't remember his name. Anyway, it was John Vickers, Wesley, Mink, Buller. There's so many of you. Carl, you're there as well. David Bradbury, getting past the boring intros that everyone always says. I won't ever not find that funny. Seriously, whoever left that comment, thank you very much, because that'll stick with me for a long old time. There's something what I like to do at the start of shows is kind of run through other news that's not necessarily related to Manchester United, but I think deserves a talking point. And this is an important one for me, right? Particularly this transfer, actually. I think Ruben Neves. Now, we've seen, of course, what's happened in Saudi Arabia. Ronaldo was the big jump. When Ronaldo went to Saudi Arabia for huge money, you're thinking, what's going to be happening there? Is that going to start? Is that going to start an influx? And the influx is definitely happening. Now, of course, N'Golo Kante was the second big name, and then it was Karim Benzema with the third big name. But you still look at these three players and you go, well, their best days are behind them. They may be serious superstars and they may be big names, but their best days are behind them. And I think that's why you're looking at this Ruben Neves situation and going, that's one there. That one there is, that's a bit different. And of course, he's not the only one, because you see what's going on here with Hakim Ziyech and Al Nassr coming in with a big bid for him. And now you're seeing that Al Hilal might be going for Kalidou Koulibaly. You're thinking, what's going on? Why there's so many Chelsea players going or linked with Saudi? And maybe you did or you didn't know that this was a question mark that was raised back in, this is from 2022, I think this article was, from Matt Hughes for the Daily Mail, in kind of looking into the Clear Lake Bowley structure, and the Public Investment Fund are heavy investors in Clear Lake Capital. Clear Lake Capital manage a lot of the portfolio that is from the Public Investment Fund. And all of a sudden you're seeing one Chelsea player, two Chelsea players, three Chelsea players, maybe going across to Saudi Arabia. I mean, we know what they're doing, right? This is the preparation from Saudi Arabia to go for that World Cup bid. Who's to say that winter, that World Cup in Qatar, who's to say that won't happen again? This is just a way that this is dangerous. It really is, man. Modern football. If you, as a football fan, and there are plenty of people that do feel like this, if you only care about how much can my club spend, what players are we signing, and will I win the trophies? if that is the only thing you care about with your football club, then you wouldn't consider this dangerous. You'd be like, oh, it's a good thing. There's more money in the game. Perfect. But if you've been, I suppose, I think it's kind of half an age thing. It's just because it's just the way that football's going. I don't like it. I do not like it. I haven't liked it. But that Ruben Neves one, that's a bit of that's kind of a line in the sand. That goes to show that they're not just signing players who are past their not past their sell-by date, but have had their best years behind them. Him right there, Ruben Neves, you could argue he's in his best condition as a footballer. He's got his prime years ahead of him, and even he's going over there because the money is ridiculous. The money is ridiculous. Alex, I'll forget. I won't say a bad thing against it again if they take home. No, look, I just don't think it's good for football. I never thought that allowing Abramovich to come in and buy Chelsea was good for football. Nor did I think that Abu Dhabi going in and buying City. It's the way that football has gone. Jordan, you're saying that it's going to be another Chinese league which collapsed. Qatar just had a World Cup. Saudi Arabia are going to have a World Cup bid. You can look at this and say, oh, it's just going to be another Chinese Super League. I do not think it will. I think it's going to be far. Well, let's see how how widespread it is, how deep it goes. But I'd say that's dangerous. The Ruben Neves one in particular. Oh, man, look at that. To kickstart the week. John Billing, you've gifted 10 memberships, and you inspired Ashley Dixon to gift one as well. Oh, look, Andreas Roy. I love this community. I do. I say it every week. And I had somebody who, I think I've read a comment on a video saying, oh, Sam, I get so annoyed when all you do is talk about the gifted memberships. So I don't have to go at me. Don't have to go at anyone. In fact, you can leave. Because it's a big part of the channel. I feel like it's a part of the channel that separates it from everywhere else, and it's what makes it genuinely a community. So I won't apologize about anything like that. But in some really positive news, before we now go on to, unfortunately, get a little bit bogged down in the doom and gloom around the takeover, Sky Sports actually making a damn good decision. Martin Tyler, I'm not sure if so I've noticed it more in the last couple of years. Well, I had noticed it more in the last couple of years with Martin Tyler. And it was just like, man, that guy's got no emotion whatsoever. So Peter Drury is now going to be the lead commentator. So that is going to like Peter Drury and Gary Neville and stuff like that. That is a 10 out of 10 decision. Something that everybody had been calling for, but we didn't know whether it was actually going to happen. That's good news. That will make it 10 times more enjoyable to watch. Peter Drury. All right, let's not be rude here, Josh. Let's not be rude. So yeah, I think that's a good bit of news for next season. Right. Let's move on to the main talking point, right? The takeover. Something that there was so much excitement about. Back in November, I remember the 2 streams that we did. First of all, who was it? I'm trying to think of. I think it came from Sky News. I think it was Mark Kleiman in Sky News. Might be wrong. I think it was him saying that the Glazers are considering selling. And I think we went live at I don't know, 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. And then there was murmurs. There were murmurs that there was going to be an announcement. And I think it was that evening at 11. I think it was around about 11 p.m. That's when the statement came out. Strategic investment opportunities, I think, was their words, not ours. And we were buzzing. And then I remember a couple of days later, that's when a story came out that Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos were interested in buying Manchester United. And that's where my quote that gets clipped up and used is I called him the Disney owner. And then everything that's happened since then, it's been a long old 7 months. And still, we are here. And then last week, we heard this from Matt Lawton, from Mike Keegan, from journalists who have sort of been leading with the information. Clearly, their sources are, well, their sources were, probably still are, in the Qatari side of things. They've certainly got good links. And we were told that last week was going to be the week where the preferred bidder was named. And all of us, of course, got excited. I said straight away, I believe it when I see it. And here we are, a week further down the line, even after the madness of what happened last week, because last week was madness. That tweet that was taken from Al Watan, a Qatari newspaper, that caused a 15... Last week, on 2 separate occasions, there were like 15% spikes in Manchester United's share price in the space of a week. Like, the volatility has been absolute. Look, I know that stocks and shares, and they're always volatile, but it was so volatile that the New York Stock Exchange stopped trading on Manchester United stocks after that Rio Ferdinand, and after Reuters came out and said exclusivity talks. And just here we are, a few days down the line. As I said, Sean Ingle from the Guardian, his words, not mine, Manchester United fans are suffering slow torture as Glazers bide their time. And I've always maintained that I do not want to add to hysteria with the platform that we've got here at United People's TV. But it is slow torture. And it's not just for fans. It's for every aspect of our football club now. Like, imagine, I don't know, you worked as a social media manager for Manchester United. You were part of the catering staff that worked in the background at Old Trafford. And you've been there for 15 years or so. You have no job security at all. All the mortgage rates right now flying through the roof, and you got your worries about all of that. And you have no guarantee about who your boss is going to be in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, in 6 weeks' time. So every single aspect, from fans to those that work for Manchester United to Erik ten Hag and his transfers, it's all being held up, and it's all because of these bastards. I hate to swear. I know I swear sometimes. That's one thing. Starting this channel and just it growing and growing and growing has made me realize I need to swear a little bit less. So I am trying to. This was from the Financial Times a few days ago. The Glazers' slow decision makers who are controlling Manchester United's future. And there was one bit that sort of stood out to me, that from a frustration perspective here. It was a ow, just bit my tongue. My cheek. That's going to get clipped up. Anyway, fans' anger has been hardened by the family's resolve to keep a low profile despite being major owners pushing in a sport that has turned players into celebrities and generates 24-hour-a-day interest on social media. The Glazers have a family philosophy. Nobody does interviews. And that was somebody who has worked closely with the Glazers. If one of you gets attention, no matter what, you start to feel it. That's why they don't talk to the media. It's all about protecting the family. And it's you look at all the lies and everything that the Glazers have done up until this point. You remember when, after they got caught with their pants down with the European Super League, fans managed to get that shut down, and they realized they couldn't do that anymore. And Joel came out with that statement. I think it was only the second time that Joel Glazer actually spoke to the fan base since they took over 17 years ago. And they was promising, we want to be better, with more communication, X, Y, Z. And you've got right there. It's all self-interest. And it only, look, my natural instinct in life would be to protect family, right? Your natural, it's kind of a primal instinct. But when you are the owners of such a massive public institution as Manchester United, and you then still put your family's decisions ahead of what's best for the club, you create what's happened here. You create what's happened with the owners of Manchester United, where they just do not really care about it. They do not really mind if they drag it into to the point where the takeover is being called slow torture. And they never have. And that is why, until they leave, we can't ever truly move forward. But Andy Mitten here, saying that Manchester United are now a club stuck in limbo. It's more than limbo. Is it this one here? Right. I'll pull that up after. I remember speaking about Erik Ten Hag's transfers, and I said, I think I did this last week. I think I said this 15th of June, 4 days ago. I said this. I said, look, United pulling out of a move for Kane rather than stubbornly proceeding. I think that's a good decision. Man United putting in a low early bid for Mason Mount. I think that Manchester United behind the scenes, I think we've actually done quite a lot of good early work. As far as we can do that early work in terms of identifying the genuine targets that we want to, having plan Bs just in case those top targets don't work out, having plan Bs behind them. And we've kind of seen that with the Kim Min-jae, for example. I'll speak about him a little bit later in the show. But now we've got Todibo I think he's from Nice down there. And we've got Axel Disasi from Monaco up there. 2 names from the French. It's clear that we've got targets and we've got secondary targets. But this is where it's becoming a problem for Erik Ten Hag. Because we're now at the point, really, where bids have got to go in. Proper bids. Not a low baller for Mason Mount. Proper bids have got to go in. And at that point, who makes that decision? It's the Glazers. And what are they doing? They're still involved in sort of decisions, even over transfer targets, as it stands. Despite them selling the club. It's staggering. But they do not care that they damage that. They do not care that they are damaging Manchester United. And I repeat that. They do not care. So I think Erik Ten Hag now would have every right to be angry. I think that's what my lunchtime video is going to go on today. It's not as simple as saying, the Glazers they're scuppering everything, they're ruining everything. Manchester United are screwed. Ten Hag, he should resign. That's your low-hanging fruit, man. You can go and shout that on TalkSport if you want. But I think genuinely there's been some good work behind the scenes at Manchester United up until the certain point where they need sign-off. It's like having a clearance pass. Everything that's happened up until a certain point, they've reached this door which is closed. And that's where the money is. That's where actual decisions can be made. And the only person who's got the key to that is Joel Glazer. And yeah, it is frustrating. It's really frustrating, man. We've waited so damn long to actually have a manager that we all feel, you know what? He could be the one. He's got me believing far more than any manager has previously. And then in his second summer, first after actual brilliant season of progress, we've now got the takeover, which we heard, as I said, look, aim for sale completion. But you remember those stories? End of Q1. My word. Now that was a Disney sale day. End of Q1. It's we're coming towards the end of Q2 now. I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments, right? Andrew saying, what are fans in the UK doing that they can protest against the Glazers? And guys and girls, can I say one thing here, right? And this isn't me denouncing the power of a protest, because I think we've shown with the European Super League, with getting the Liverpool game cancelled, that it can have a big impact. But I think there's one thing you've learned about what the Glazers are at Manchester United. They are thick-skinned. They do not care, really, what you do, what you say. They're still going to do it anyway. I'd love a large-scale protest to happen in Florida. I think that would be so powerful if that could happen. But the idea of managing, I don't know how you would even organize that. That would have an impact because that's on their home soil. You can't ignore it when it's on your own patch. You can't ignore it when it's going to be impacting your family and people who know your family. Go, wow, I thought it was all going all right over there, Manchester United. All of a sudden, you've got thousands of angry fans protesting in Tampa. Are you sure? I think that could have an impact, but I don't know how you'd even manage it. I don't know how you'd even get that together. Alex, you're saying my biggest worry is Ten Hag leaving if he's not backed. I'm going to mention that in my lunchtime video today. I wouldn't say I'm not worried about it yet, but I tell you what, really, really could head down that part. I don't think we're anywhere near it. It's not going to happen this season, right? But if we go into this, it's the start of last season, we went into it underprepared and we got spanked by Brighton and Brentford. And the club went, oh, you know what, Erik? I've just found 150 million down the back of the sofa. Let's go and sign Casemiro and Anthony. Huh. Could have done that 6 weeks ago, lads. You could have given me the opportunity to get these players embedded into the team and start the season without losing to 2 teams. But all right, thank you very much. So, of course, he would have been, he might not have sort of vocalized it, but he would have been angry at that. And as it stands going into this season coming up, hey, look, the transfer window only opened a few days ago. But I think we've seen other clubs are moving fast, and you have to react to how the market is reacting, how the market is moving. And the market is moving fast. Like teams are starting to really sort of kind of get their act together and move a bit quicker in the market because they have to. Ian, you just gifted a membership. That's very nice of you. Gifted a membership to Avad. What a legend. Let me go up here. Oh, look at that, man. Jay, how you doing, dude? How you doing this morning? Jay's just gifted 5 memberships. Absolute ledge. I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here because I want to know what your opinions are around it all. Okay. Ben, you're saying they can't feel that safe in Tampa. United fans broke into their house. When did that happen? I didn't read that anyway. Maybe I did. And you're saying I don't think the Glazers care about the protests anymore. Look, let's be totally honest. They took over the club when there was protests going on before they even walked in the door. That didn't stop them. Protests happened in 2010. Did that force them to change their mind? I don't know whether it massively did. 2000, the ones that had like the direct impact and influence was the ones around the Super League and getting the Liverpool game cancelled. That had a direct impact. But to do that, again, the scale of that was huge. 2 protests at once at one of the Lowry. I'll always remember that video. That's probably the best thing I've ever made on United People's TV was the video around that protest. And I don't want to be, as I said, I don't want to be full of doom and gloom because I think we are on the precipice of being a genuine threat again as a football club. Like, right, we are there. We are on the precipice of finally being involved in the conversation again. And here we are being held up by this. And it's, yeah, trust me, I share the same frustrations that you do. Jay Law, you're saying, big up, Sam. Appreciate you not beating our heads over the same news 60 times a day. Look, man, that's why I only go live once a day, because if I don't, I could do it more, but it would just fuel frustration and the hysteria. Sigmund, you're asking whether this season is a write-off. Is it likely we'll get anything done this summer? No, I wouldn't go as far as that, man. That's what I mean. I'm not going anywhere near as far as that, saying it's a write-off or anything like that. But it's hard now not to look at this and think, you know what? Our transfers really are starting to get affected by it. And I think that's the change I feel has happened over the last week or so. And as I said, I think up until last week, up until the point of everything needed to, all the research is done, right? All the research is done. Everything's just there. Everything's ready to go. So we need to do this first. If we don't get that, we can't go for Kane. Then the Kane situation is probably one area we do have clarity because we didn't have to make a bid. So that was it. We were trying to figure out whether we could afford Kane. Can we? No, never mind. Right. Dust that off. Let's move for Rasmus Højlund. And now you're seeing reports that United are going to Højlund because we've now gone, you know what, Kane, that's not going to happen. Let's move on. Next target, Højlund. Right. How much you want? 100 mil. Eh? 100. And it is almost like the transfer market and Chelsea have screwed it up for everybody else. I mean, that might be the first time no, it's not the first time we mentioned that. So it could well be that Atalanta now try and play Moneyball. They look at whatever everything else is going on in the transfer market everywhere else, and they go, "Nah, I want a slice of that pie." In fact, I don't want a slice of the pie. I want the whole damn pie. They're not going to get 100 million euros. But the issue, as I said here, I think is on Manchester United actually tabling bids. We can have all the conversations we want with different agents, right? And you can do that without the Glazers' decision-making process. They don't need to be involved in that point. But now that we've done all of that and we're ready to go and we're ready to pull the, pull the trigger on these deals and try and sign some players, that's the point that we are getting stopped at now. And that is why it has changed. And that is why this needs to check. But I'll tell you one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, right? I have to admit this. And I want to do a bit more research, not research into it, but I'll just think about it a bit more. Say tomorrow we get an announcement that Sheikh Jassim has been named the preferred bidder. That will be clarity over the takeover itself. But what does that actually change when it comes to the decisions? Does that, because at that point still, the Glazers will retain control. The Glazers' control of Manchester United won't leave until the keys have changed hands and money's been exchanged. So how far down the line of that takeover process do we have to get before control and decisions can actually be shifted away from Joel Glazer? Because I don't really feel like it. I don't really feel like that happens when Sheikh Jassim gets named a preferred bidder. Well, I don't know. I don't know that. I said that's just sort of like a concern I've got at the back of my mind. I don't know. Maybe that's something that's kind of written into the. I think if I remember correctly, there was a story that came out about Jim Ratcliffe when he was leading the race, and he was saying that the bids wanted clarity as soon as it reached a certain stage. That's when they then sort of had control over decisions. But there's no way here that we're paying 100 mil for Højlund. I mean, 50 mil, even 50 million euros for a 20-year-old he's had a decent season, but he's raw as hell. You probably argue that he's at the same sort of stage in his career as Alejandro Garnacho. There or thereabouts. Had a breakthrough season, hell of a talented player, but he's a young kid. He's obviously got 2 years on him, and maybe he's got a little bit more experience, X, Y, Z, but 100 million euros. I mean, good luck with that one. Absolutely good luck with that one. Jordan, you're saying, I can see Q leaving because of how long this is taking. You mean the Qatari bid? I don't think they're going to go this far down the line without. I don't think they're going to walk away from it. But and this is, I've mentioned this so many times. The Glazers have played a dangerous game this entire process, thinking, oh no, they're going to stay. They're going to stay. There's no way that the Qataris pull out. There's no way that Jim Ratcliffe pulls out. And that's kind of what I feel. But imagine if one of them did. The Glazers would lose all negotiating power. They would. Somebody who's, let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. You're saying, Andrew, you're saying 100 mil is a joke for Højlund? Yeah, 100 mil is a joke. It really, really is. Balor, you're saying, how much would we demand for Garnacho? Wouldn't want to sell him. No, I'm not insinuating we should sell Garnacho, but I'm just saying maybe in the concept of comparisons. Breakthrough seasons-ish. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how good Højlund is compared to Garnacho, but I know how good Garnacho is. I wouldn't want to sell him for 100 mil. He's going to be that good. What else are we saying down here? Robert, you're saying, Sam, when City were taken over prior to current owners, they were bought on deadline day and spent a load of money. It won't happen at United. I've told you. Everyone knows that. We have restrictions on our budget. And that's, I think, probably the most confusing thing. What I want to see United doing here, right? And maybe this is still down to the person at the top, the person making the decision. Why are we not pushing ahead with player sales? We should be maybe it's down to the teams that actually want to buy them, but we should be doing everything to be getting Maguire a new team, Martial, McTominay, doing everything we possibly can to increase and make our budget even bigger so that when we can finally go and actually pull the trigger and start spending, we've got a bigger pot to go with. Because we know we've got somewhere between 100 and 150 mil without players being sold. Do you really need the same amount of sign-off to sell a player and bring money in than you would in terms of signing players? I don't really think so. I don't know. Matt, you're saying, are we worried? That, I mean, that's kind of a fair point. Which is always I don't really ever agree with it. The idea of being worried that I saw that. You have to have confidence in your own ability to do your deals. So get rid of the fluff and what you don't need first, and just back yourself. But because Erik Ten Hag's opening the wallet at Manchester United. Which credit card am I using? I have no idea. There's no idea where the money's coming from, and no idea how much that's going to be. I would always remember having the conversations with you last summer saying, I think we'll all be happy at the end of it. And I reiterated it a whole way through the summer. And I think at the end of it, we were happy. Not how much we spent or how we worked as a club. But in terms of the players we signed, I think we were all quite happy with it. My gut feeling at this point is that I think this is going to be a summer where we're ultimately a bit disappointed at the end of it. I don't think we'll be mega disappointed. But I think given what we felt we could do going into it, compared to what will happen at the end of it, I think we're probably going to be a little bit disappointed with this summer. And I just hope that it's going to be enough for Erik Ten Hag to take this team upwards. That's what I really think. Sam, thank you very much, dude, for sending a super chat in. What are you saying? Everyone sees our potential, so of course they're going to make it expensive. Ten Hag knows this. I think he's smart enough and patient enough that he can find the gems in the rough. I mean, you could argue that signing a 20-year-old Danish striker from Atalanta is kind of like looking for diamonds in the rough. You might not say it's a diamond in the rough because obviously he's got a bit of a reputation and a bit of a name, but he's certainly not a household name at this point. And even still at that point, you're talking 100 mil. So you're kidding me, man. Football figures and transfers, none of it makes sense to me anymore. It really, really doesn't. I have no idea what is fair value for a player. You know, Fergie, there's no value in the transfer market. There's still definitely value in the transfer market. I have no idea what the value is anymore. I have no idea what's normal for any player in any position. I really, really don't. Now, Abby, you're saying, wouldn't be surprised if you end up with Rashford and Martial as our striker options and Greenwood or someone from the youth. And it won't go as bad as that, man. It's not going to be a summer where we don't make signings. We will be making signings. I just don't know whether at the end of the summer it's going to be close enough to what you would have expected going into it. That's something that at this point in time, I'm worried about. Stephen, you're saying, look, I can see us going into the free transfer window. Again, perfect example. Marcus Thuram. That doesn't cost anything. The Glazers don't have to spend anything. We just got to pay wages. Why are we not going after him? Why is nobody going after him? Again, I find that one weird. Why is that taking so long? Now, look, Luke Shaw's obviously been doing his homework. Oh, look, someone joined there. Remember, who was that? Salim, how you doing, buddy? I see you there rejoining. He would take Harry Kane in a heartbeat. He's doing some Agent Shaw work after England were training at Carrington over the weekend for the Malta game. He's there with two signings that I would love Manchester United to make. Harry Kane and Declan Rice. I think both of those would be sort of transformative signings in their respective positions at Manchester United. Harry Kane would come in and transform Manchester United's attack. I think Declan Rice would come in and just be the glue that sticks our whole midfield together. I think that's how good both of those signings could be. But I don't think that's going to happen. we know full well that the Harry Kane situation has been sort of Man United have just made a choice and said, you know what? We're not playing your games, Daniel Levy, man. We'll see you next summer when Harry Kane can leave on a free transfer. If you really want to play these games, you can decide what you want to do. But look, down there, any prospect of a move for Kylian Mbappe has been ruled out. You know what I think about the dumbness of those Mbappe. Maybe not the dumbness, just the unrealistic nature of those Mbappe reports. Again, it might be that Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe could well be both a free transfer next summer. Alex, you're down there saying get Kane on a pre-contract in January. That cannot happen. You can only sign as free agents. If you're going to be a free agent in the summer, you can only sign a pre-contract agreement with a team outside of your own domestic league. So Harry Kane can't sign a pre-contract agreement with any Premier League team, but he could with Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or anything like that. I'm not Eden. I'm going to go for Eden. Irish names are always confusing. Trust me, I've got plenty of Irish family. What are you saying, sir? I hate Levy as much as the Glazers, and I'm not even sure why. I think the characters like theirs just get the blood boiling. It's because they're just like, they're ultra capitalists. They're like the most extreme version of it, where they really do not care about like any sort of social or political impacts on anything whatsoever. They only care how much money is here. How can I get it to there? What do I need to do to make that happen? And that is the only important thing. It's the only thing that matters to them. No matter how big the fallout, how many people they get affected. And that's what the Glazers are. That's what Daniel Levy is. And ultimately, that's why they're both hated by their respective football clubs. And they're not good owners. And they're not good chairmen. I imagine, well, I think Spurs kind of feel like where United were, I don't know, a few years ago. And ultimately, we got Woodward out and the Glazers followed. But Spurs have just built that new stadium. I don't know whether Daniel Levy's going anywhere anytime soon. Now, this is what I mean. Like, we can talk about transfers being affected now, because with Kim, Man United laid the groundwork early with Kim. Early. We knew that he was available. We knew that we wanted him. We knew that Erik Ten Hag wanted him. And all of those were correct. But we never made the move. Now, you might say, Sam, that's because John Murtough is crap at his job. That's because Richard Arnold doesn't know what he's doing. And I would always point to, I always look to the head of the snake. I always look to the top of the tree. Bayern Munich now coming in. Apparently this week is when it's going to be decided. Had Manchester United had the ability to sort of make that decision, I think we would have got him. Matt, you're saying you can go down there. Matt's saying that maybe he was never a target. He was. He was. Reiterated by multiple journalists. The majority of the noise around Kim did come from Italy. They went way further saying, oh, the deal's nearly done. And I think that's where a lot of frustration is coming from. But it's clear that Manchester United are looking for a ball-playing centre-back this summer, with Harry Maguire leaving and then one coming in to replace him. Simple maths. And Kim was top of that list. So either we didn't want him or the money's not there. I can't rule out the fact that it might be that we don't want him, but we're also linked with plenty of other centre-backs of that position. Jean Todibo from Nice and Axel Disasi from Monaco. Two centre-backs from the French league could well be happening. Abby, you're talking about Timber down there. We could have Timber. That could be another one. Although, if Timber came in and he played alongside Martinez, it might actually go on record as the smallest ever centre-back partnership in the Premier League. And we still might win. But look, Axel Disasi is a name on the list. Jean Todibo is in that. And this is what I mean about plans. If Kim was number 1 on that list, we've got a number 2 and a number 3 on that list already. And that in itself is something to be slightly positive about. But it is kind of hard. And as I said, you know me, I'm Mr. Positivity when there is reason to have positivity. I won't just be positive for the sake of it. But Ten Hag must be getting angry, man. He must be getting angry. All the work that he's done, all the sacrifices that he's made this season, probably working, slogging 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week. He's done everything that he could possibly do. And now the club isn't doing everything they should be doing to give him the team that he needs to take the success from last season to where we want to go next season. It's all because of these and the slow decision makers. I hope at some point here, right? Hope at some point this week we come on and we're like, boom, it's been announced. But look at this, right? I saw this down in the in Andy Mitten's piece that he wrote for the National News. Where is this? I found this quite interesting. See what you think about this. Both sides, talking about takeover, obviously, both sides have become frustrated with the bidding process, which started after the November announcement, and both will agree that the process is deeply frustrating and should never have taken so long. Both too have expected to hear news on their bids at various stages, only for nothing to happen. Last week was supposed to be significant, yet Ratcliffe thought otherwise and took a trekking holiday. So last week when we were all, of course, like Ratcliffe doesn't have to be sitting around like I'm sitting around, sort of waiting for the news, and he's like, "Oh, sod that, I'm just going to go on a trekking holiday." But maybe it's a little bit of an insight into the fact that Ratcliffe really wasn't expecting much to happen last week, and maybe all of these stories are indeed just guff. I'm just looking for. I think we spoke about this before, didn't we? I'm looking forward to the end of it. I'm really looking forward to the end of it. Matt Frost, you're having a go at my camera. Go away. I had a bit of an accident this morning. I nearly destroyed my studio and I lost. Yeah, I was a bit angry. So I've just about got it fixed in time here this morning. So if you can let me off, I know it's not particularly perfect today. People like to pick holes. That's what people do. I'm only reacting to that because my desk nearly broke this morning, and that was crazy. Now, you know full well that I've been speaking about Romeo. I've been speaking about Romeo this morning, and I think he'd be an outstanding signing for Manchester United to come there and sort of be an alternative to Casemiro. And well, nothing's ever gone past. Look, Man United appreciate FC. It's not gone any further than that. And now we're hearing that Arsenal might be going in for him. Concrete and strong interest. I think you're hearing that Thomas Partey might be leaving. Don't know what's going on there. But, yeah. Another one. I mean, we can't sign everybody. Jeez. As I said, you look down there. 64 players on that list. And I haven't got Eze, who we've just been linked with from Crystal Palace. And I think there's a couple more names. You can reach out to me on Telegram if there's any names I have forgotten about that, because I know there's more than 64. I think I might have missed a super chat. Let me pull this bad boy up. Jibak, what are you saying, sir? If we did want Kim, we won't get a player of equal ability for that amount of money. Yeah, it was a release clause that in the grand, we're talking about, I don't know the values of players anymore. I don't, by comparison. But I know full well that Kim for 47.5 mil was underpriced significantly. For sure. The other options are inferior. The likes of Todibo won't start for United. And maybe there's an alternative argument to say, well, you're probably not going to have Kim come to Manchester United and want to play for that position week in, week out with Varane. He would want that guaranteed starting spot. Would he get that at Bayern Munich? They've got Upamecano, who didn't have the best of seasons. Maybe you can say that he's going to be the one that goes out. And De Ligt as well. Pranav, you're saying, looks like the Glazers are delaying the sale on purpose. They can't stand to see United succeed. Nah, man, it's just about money. It's just all about money. That's all it is. That's all it is. Quite a few of you are telling me to look at Samuel Luckhurst conversation around a goalkeeper. Some figures at United want to move on from De Gea. Dressing room sources say players are unsure if De Gea will stay. Everyone's like, I don't even know. Nobody knows whether De Gea is going to stay. And it's just, it sums it up perfectly. Like the De Gea situation is like a microcosm of Manchester United's takeover. No one knows whether he's going to stay. No one really knows what he wants to do. No one really knows what Erik Ten Hag wants to do. No one really knows which goalkeeper we're going to go for next. Every single option around David De Gea remains open. Every one of them. Signing a new deal, staying for 2 years, leaving on a free transfer, going to Saudi Arabia, being replaced by Diogo Costa, being replaced by Andre Onana. Every single option is available and open at the moment. Batman. And you probably do a good job there. You probably do a good job. And there's a couple more transfers down here. Oh, no, that's the same one. What about this one over there? A little bit of positive news, though. Look at this. This bloke, Cantona, but also this bloke, Bruno Fernandes, man. Honestly, the Terminator, he is a football Terminator. So was it 2 goals and an assist? Great goal as well. Got a header, little half volley, and an assist. I think it was Portugal's 3-0 win over Bosnia. Man, my word. What a don. What a footballer. Still got questions as to whether he's the best fit to be Manchester United's captain next year, but he's certainly captain material. He certainly plays like a captain. I don't really genuinely think Bruno Fernandes needs the armband to play like a captain. I think he's got that sort of influence and personality anyway. But 2 goals and an assist yesterday. And I mean, last season, I had to defend him against United fans so often. Not you, but give me Bruno every day of the week. Imagine he played for someone else. That's one signing we absolutely got right. And we even tried to drag that one out. Remember, I think we signed Bruno on like the 30th of January. It was right at the end of the transfer window. I think we were linked with him in the summer. We didn't sign him. Whew. Jeez. Alex, you're asking for a captain's poll. We'll leave it for now because we're towards the end of the show, so we won't have enough time. But I wish I could come here this morning and I could give you the exciting news that you want around the takeover, the preferred bidder status. Instead, another week has gone and another week begins, and we're in the exact same position. There has not been an update. Despite the 2 huge surges in share price, nothing happened. Will we get that announcement this week? It could be. I hope it happens before Friday because I'm in Amsterdam for a couple of days this week, and I guarantee you they're going to announce that when I'm not here. And then if it is, you can say thank you, Sam, for sacrificing, because they only did it when you weren't here. But let's find out. All right, I'm going to be here later on today, and I will probably do a video on Ten Hag's transfers and the frustrations around it. Actually, yeah, I do need to update that quite a lot. There's quite a few. Twanzebe's gone. I'll update that. I'll update this board. I know there's some names missing. As I said, I need it. Basically, I've got one of the electric desks that goes up and down, and I wasn't looking, and the chair was underneath the desk when I sent it down. So everything did that, and I was losing my mind. I've semi-fixed it, but as was pointed out there, my camera's not good enough. People are great, man. People always point out the things you get wrong and not the 99% of things you do right. But look, hey, critique me. I'll keep improving. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Monday is always busy. Even if nothing is done, it's busy. Manchester United for you.